this section is relatively simple. There's nothing really complex about it. I'll just skip and breeze through it. I'll fast forward everything. This section, student CB FININ ID. Now, if you read this section, you will realize that you may have received one in mail. If you don't know it, just keep it blank. Right now, I literally don't know mine, but after a while, you will get to know yours, and this will become important when you actually send your documents to iDoc. For now, let's just skip it. Country where students lives, I live in Bangladesh, it's Bangladesh. Citizenship status, I'm none of this, so it's other. Country of citizenship, I'm a Bangladeshi citizen, so it's Bangladesh. Visa type is important. Many people struggle through it. It's simple. If you are a Bangladeshi citizen who wants to go to the US on a visa, you will go for a student visa, and the student visa is F1, so it will be F1 here. Next, student status. Now, this section is important. Remember that, so you should read this section if you want to make it clear. So it means that you as a student, if you have any children, now it does not include your wife or your husband. If you are married, or maybe you aren't, but you have children, then the answer here will be yes. If not, the answer here will be no. The vast majority of you, including me, the answer is no. The guidance here also gives a pretty elaborated description, but you get it. Next, your permanent address. Now, if you have passport, then in your passport you will see that there's a permanent address as well. Your permanent address does not necessarily have to be similar to the permanent address you give here. However, it's always best if you give permanent address which matches your passport. Now, the difference between mailing address and permanent address is simple. The permanent address is your permanent address, and the mailing address is an address where they will find you, or if they want to say send a letter, or I don't know, acceptance letter or whatever, they will be able to give it to you. Now, they can be, the mailing address and the permanent address can also be the same. Just give yes and it will be fine. So I'll just breeze through it as well. Right, this section. Now remember who you assigned parent 1 and parent 2 to. It will become somewhat important later on. So my parent 1, I'll assign it as my father. I'll say Muhammad Anisur Rahman. Oops, sorry, Muhammad. I think the last name should be Anisur Rahman. It will be Shelina Akhtar. Relationship father, mother. Done. Save and continue. Marital status, very simple. It's married. It depends on what they are. They might be separated, they might be divorced. I think these options are very self-explanatory. Where do my parents live? My parents live in Bangladesh. Done. Save and continue. My current academic year. Now it depends. I am in the right now first year of undergraduate studies, so I'll give first year undergraduate. If you're in 12th grade, we'll give HSC or A levels, it will be 12th grade. If you're on a gap year, then you will just give not in school. For me, I'll just give, let me just give 12th grade. I don't know, it might open up options that probably first year undergraduate option might not open up. Let's see. My high school's name. It's very likely that your high school name will not turn up here, but let's just try for 1 second. So I'll just give none of the above. Let's try anyway. Let's give Manarat. It probably won't come up, so we'll just say not listed. Or if you're homeschooled, you'll just say homeschooled. It's as simple as that. The next question is, if Samin attended a private high school, how much did they receive in scholarship and grants for 2020 to 2021 year? I presume the vast majority of the people watching this will be in a private high school. Government funded high school will mean that you probably study for absolutely free. You may not, but in America, the reason that they say private here is because in America, public high schools are more or less free. So there's no point in paying for them or receiving scholarships in the first place. So this is why private is mentioned here. So how much did I receive in scholarship? Let's say I received 50,000 taka. How much did I pay? Let's say I paid, I don't know, 90,000 taka. Let's go. Now, this is a section that you will have to choose at least one university. Now, it does not have to be comprehensive. You don't have to add all the universities in the world or all the universities that you want to apply right here, nor do you have to pay at this moment. They just want you to select at least one university. I don't know why, it's just their policy. So I don't know, let's choose one university randomly. I like Yale a lot, so I'll just choose Yale. Let's find Yale. There are many Yales. I think this is the right one. I'm pretty sure. This is CSS Profile. Right, these are self-explanatory. If you're applying, it's very likely that it's going to be this section for you. The rest are for other students. For example, if they are currently studying in Yale University and probably filling up the CSS profile again to renew their financial aid. Now, it's vast majority of you, it's going to be this. I don't know my ID. You may know yours if you have applied already. Housing plans, it's probably going to be on campus. Let's say it's, I don't know, let's say it's early action. Currency. Now, this is very important. Read this carefully. If your primary currency is not in US dollars, do not convert your responses. Select your primary currency and complete the application in the currency you select. That's why when I filled up the scholarship part of the school, I also said in BDT 50,000 taka or 90,000 taka. Everything that you fill up here must be in BDT, Bangladeshi taka, not in US dollars. Now, some people may find themselves in trouble because say their father works abroad and earns in euro and their mother is earning in say BDT, or their assets and everything are also in BDT as well. So that's a unique situation and I'll probably talk about it later. But for now, let's see, we are just going for Bangladeshi taka. Right, so my father's birth date. I'm not sure what his birth date in the certificate exactly is. I'll just give something very random. Let's see, I don't know, 1971. Email address, I'll give something random as well. Employment. Now, this will depend on what your father actually does. They may be retired. They may also be unemployed. They may own a business, or they may be employed by others. It will depend on what your father actually does. Mine, however, is employed by the others. So I'll just give occupation is cabin crew, Biman, Bangladesh Airlines. Honestly, I forgot. Let's just say 25 years. This is the section most people struggle with. I'll explain this bit by bit, but first, this won't apply to us at all because this is the first option and that makes people get very coughed up, and it's fine. But IRA, I don't know what this is, KO 410K 403B. So you have to realize that CSS Profile has been made more for domestic US citizens than for us. So these are stuff that applies more to them, these words apply more to them than us. Now, what is retirement plan? So this is something you won't find in your tax return. However, ask your parents, do they have a retirement plan? So in my case, I had to ask my father, do you have a retirement plan? So what's exactly a retirement plan? This is mostly in the case of when your parent is working in a company. So what usually happens is your father has an allocated fund that they will get once they retire from the company, right? And that value may increase yearly. So say if they retire today, they may receive 50 lakh taka, and every year the value say increase by 2 lakh. So if they retire say after 10 years, they will get 70 lakh, right? So there's a current value of that retirement fund, and that's something they want to know. So they may not have this plan, they may also have this plan. They may have a plan which is government sponsored or military sponsored or anything else, or they may not have it at all. So if it's sponsored by the employer, it will be employer. If it's, I don't know, sponsored by military or union or by the government, then if it's government, it will be this, or military, it will be this. If it does not fit any of this, just choose other type of retirement plan. Now, if say my father has retirement fund of say 50 lakhs. I don't know how many zeros are in 50 lakhs. I'll have to check, but let's say this is 50 lakhs, right? And I'll just give it this. Now, if they don't have a retirement fund, just give 0 here. Let's just give, I don't know, some random number. This is it. As simple as that. Now, next, I follow the same for Shirin Akhtar. The only difference is I will show my mom is not employed by choice here. And similarly, she does not have any retirement plan as well. There's no saving plans with her. So it will just be 0 right here. Write them. As simple as that. So which one do you choose? Is it completed, estimated, which will file, or not filed? If your parents don't file a tax return, then you will choose this one. It's most probably because their earnings do not qualify for them to give tax. If they file a tax return, then it's most probably going to be this. And I'll choose this. Now they'll ask you, is this a US tax return, Canadian or something else? For Bangladeshis, you will choose this. So this is probably the most important section in the whole of CSS Profile. Now this is where you get your tax return out. So I have prepared a tax return, and I filled it up with random numbers. I literally gave my name here, don't know why. And let's just assume it's my father's, right? So this is my father's tax return, right? So this is the page second page we are going to focus on for this section. The first page is more or less irrelevant to all of us. So the total compensation from employer is a compensation that includes my father's and my mother's both income. Now, since my mother does not work and I gave her as not employed, so it's going to be 0. For my father, however, let's see how much he earns. Now, in salaries, the first one, we have 8 lakh taka. So we are going to give here 8 lakh taka. Now, also here, 8 lakh plus 0 is also 8 lakh. So it's going to be 8 lakh. Interest income. Now, there's no interest income written here. You may have an interest income written from income from other source or capital gains. I don't know. If you have it written here, or if you ask your parents and you know it, do include them here. But for now, I'll just put 0. I'll just won't put anything. It won't matter. Divided income is same. It's not given here. If it's specifically written here, you will know. You may have it here or some other place. So you will know. So for now, it's going to be 0. Now, net income from businesses or partnerships. This is important for people whose parents mostly earn money from businesses. Number 5 and 6, income from business or profession, share of profit in a firm. These two are the sections that you need to consider to fill up this one. Now, number 5 is 0 for me. There's no income from business or profession for my father. However, he earns say 4 lakh taka from the share of profit in a firm. So for him, it will be 4 lakh taka. Net income from rental, real estate, royalties, estate, or trusts. So basically, for our purposes, it's mostly house rent or land rent or some of that sort. Where do we get this? We get this on income from house property. This one. How much do we have? 4 lakh and 20,000. So we will just give 4,20,000. Net income from farms. Agricultural income number 4, it's 0 here, just give 0 or keep it blank, your wish. Other taxable income, you may have some other income from other source detailed here, some up from other place, securities, you will know by yourself. I don't have anything here, so it's just going to be 0 or keep it blank. Pension, annuity or retirement distribution received not reported elsewhere in this application. This is most important. If your father say have retired and gets distributions yearly, but gets distributions yearly, but it's probably you haven't mentioned it anywhere. In that case, probably let's say my father has retired and gets 50,000 per month, so that's going to be 50,000 into 12. That's, I don't know, I'm how much is it? I think it's 6 lakh taka. So then you'll just put here 6 lakh taka. But for our purposes, my father did not retire, so it's going to be nothing, just give 0 or something. Right, so this section is very important. It asks you to include the tax and the mandatory retirement payments. So the income tax of your father and your mother plus the mandatory retirement payments of them. So what is mandatory retirement payments? It could be that your parents have to pay a certain sum of money to the retirement plan. So for example, they may have to say pay 1 lakh BTT taka into the retirement plan of theirs every year. So in that case, say my father pays 1 lakh, my mother pays 1 lakh, so it's 2 lakh. Now 1 lakh plus 1 lakh is 2 lakh. We have already 2 lakh here. So let's say gets 2 lakhs, but we did not consider tax here yet. We will go to the tax and see how much tax does my father pay. Tax payable number 15, 80,000. This is what we get to know. My father pays 80,000 BDT. So 2 lakh plus 80,000 is 2,80,000. So we are just going to replace it here. Done. Voila. Now it says to itemize the sources and amounts for the taxes and withholdings entered above. So my retirement payment was 2 lakh, right? And tax was 80,000. So I'll just mention it here. As simple as that. So it's both the mandatory retirement payments and also the taxes of both your parents. Save and continue. Right, the next section. So this section is like more or less going to be 0. So if you have someone, for example, your elder brother or some relative, giving a part of your income to you, giving a part of their income to you, then you can mention it here. Otherwise, it's going to be 0. I don't think it's mentioned anywhere in the tax return. But yeah, housing, food, and other living allowances, living and members of military, clergy, or other profession. For most of you, it's going to be 0. For me, it was 0. Just read here and see if it applies to you. If your father is in the army, it may or may not apply to you. Money given to them or paid on their behalf. It's probably is that if your parent receives money from some other sources rather than housing allowances, food allowances, or from other members of your family. So it's probably going to be 0. I'll put it 0. Other untaxed income. This is a bit tricky and it's more for US citizens where this term is very intuitive for them rather than for us. However, you will find this in the tax return. So I will have to scroll down a lot for this. So we are going to page 6. We are going to page 6. Page 6, number 17. It's number 17 on my tax return. You will see sources of fund. Now, number 1 is shown return income. It means in my tax return, what was the amount of total income that was present. So for example, it was 12 lakh and 20,000, number 12 total income, right? So that's fine, that's cool, we have already dealt with that, that's fine. What's our concern right now is, however, the tax-free income. So for some people may have a part of their income, for example, from their employer, the salary that they receive, that is not a part of, that is not taxed basically. So in this case, in this tax return, it's 2,80,000. So here I will put 2,80,000, right? So it may or may not be a part of the tax return. If it's not, then just give 0. If it is, give whatever it's written here. Describe this untaxed income, ask your parents. It's probably going to be salary. Done. Save and continue. Now, parent 2020 income and benefits. So the tax return that I have here is most likely represents data from 2000. So from July 2019 to July 2020. If you're applying for fall 2021, if you're on fall 2022, it's probably going to be different. Now, 2020 did not end yet, at least when I'm making this video. So that's why it's written here, expect to receive. So you may or may not receive the same, you may or may not know everything, every of the data that's you are going to fill up right here. So that's why you may have to estimate some part of it. So my mother does not work, so it's going to be 0. Momo's income from work, my father's income. So that year my salary was 8 lakh. Let's say it's going to be similar for like the next year as well. So let's just put 8 lakh here. Other taxable income, it's going to be remember it includes agriculture income, house property, share in profit, stuff like that, right? So let's say it's also going to be very similar, right? Something you'll have to estimate as well. So let's say 4,20,000 of house income, share income. So it's going to be 8,20,000 of other taxable income. So 8,20,000. Untaxed income and benefits. Remember, just in the other section, we went downwards into number 17.2, tax exempted and tax free income. It was 2,80,000. Let's assume this year it's going to be very similar as well. Done. Next question was was my parents impacted heavily? Let's assume no. If I select yes, then, well, I'll have to explain it into the special circumstances section that you are going to get at the end of the application, right around here after you finish all of this. Now, what are the sources of this untaxed income? In my case, let's assume it was from this salary. That's something you'll have to ask your parents. You'll ask them why this has been included, and then you'll have to give it here, right? Cool, makes sense. Do Samin's parents expect a significant income change in 2021 due to new job loss, retirement, benefit changes? So it could be that your parents will receive a higher check, or it could be that they may be demoted, fired, or could be a lot of things. And do you expect any changes? If it's yes, let's see if something pops up. Doesn't, in my case, let's just give no and let's go on. For child support, it's most likely, for most of you, going to be no. The reason is child support is something that is more important in US context rather than for us. So we in Bangladesh I don't think anyone gives child support. I don't think there's any system of giving child support. So it's mostly a US term, so we are going to give no. Yeah. So this is relatively simple. You'll have to fill up where you live. So let's say house 33, road 8, somewhere around the world. I'll just fill it up real quick. This question is important. Where you live? Do you live with others? Do you live in a house of your something that was provided by your employer? Do you rent your home or do you own a home? What you choose will determine some of the questions that you will have to answer later on. So in my case, we own home. So let's just give we own our own home. And it will ask us, CSS Profile will ask us like this, housing details, right? So when did we purchase our house? Let's say 2016. How much was our house worth? Let's say it was 12 lakhs, right? Current market value, let's say it increased drastically to, I don't know, 20 lakhs, right? Do we need to give any monthly housing premium? So it could be that it's in terms of mortgage, bank loans or something of that sort. Do we have to give to the bank or some individual for our payment? So in our case, we don't need to give any payments. It's going to be 0. If it's mostly for mortgage and everything, so it's most likely not going. If it's your case, then just give something. Do you total amount that you owe from this moment onwards? I think this section here, the yellowish orangish box explains pretty well. For me, it's going to be 0. Simple. This is a section that you will have to ask your parents on. You can't fill it up just seeing the tax return. You will have to ask your parents, say that do we give any monthly housing payment? Is there any money owed on our home, right? So yeah, and this, I think this is self-explanatory. If it's different than the total amount owed on your home, then enter the amount owed on the primary mortgage of this home. So mortgage basically means house loan. So if it's different, ask your parents, and that's a very special scenario. So just ask your parents. And like pro tip, a bulk of what you probably fill up in CSS Profile has to be guidance from your parents as well. You can't fill it up by yourself. It has to be a two-way street. Next, do Samin's parents have the following assets? Investments. Let's say I have. In the tax return, I have mentioned that I do have investments, and we will check it out later. Do we have assets that they own but are held in the name of their children? For the vast majority of you, that's probably going to be no. In my case, it's no. Valuables, jewelry, artwork, antiques. Let's say yes. Let's say we have that. Money owed to them by others. Do someone else owe money to my parents? For my case, it's no, so it's going to get no. The way you answer will influence the options that come up later on. For example, the options jumped up right here. So they asked me about my investments, current value of jewelry, art, precious metals, because in the other section, I told them that I have investment and stuff like that. First, current amount in cash, savings, and everything. So how much do I have in bank? So ask your parents, how much do they have in separate banks of theirs? Say they may have, say, 3 different accounts where they have, say, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 50,000. So like add them all together and then give it to here. So in my case, let's say it's 10 lakh. I don't know, I think it's 10 lakh. Current market value of investments. We are going to consult this section, right? Investments, shares 10 lakh, and everything is like, I don't know, 10, 8, 5, 2 lakhs. And the total is 25 lakh. So we are going to write here 25 lakh. Now, it does say current market value. Now, since this tax return is very recent and like, I don't know, 6 months old, a year old, it's more or less very recent. So you will, we can assume that this is the current market value. If it like differs significantly, you may disregard this tax return value and make up your, like, give the truer value that you believe is much important. Current value of jewelry, art, precious metals, and other valuables. Now this is important, other valuables. So we'll jump into this section. We have motor vehicle, jewelry, furniture, electronic equipment in Bangladeshi's tax return. Now I have included all of this here. Now there's a question. Jewelry can be considered as valuable. Art is obviously valuable. Precious metals are always valuable. Are furnitures, electronic equipments, and motor vehicles valuable as well, to the extent that CSS Profile and universities would want to know about them? My opinion is nope, they aren't as valuable, at least to the extent of the examples that have been given here. Art, precious metals, they're in no way no way compared to like motor vehicles or furnitures that are given here. So for me, I'll ignore this furniture and electronic equipment and these values. What I will do is, however, is just take the jewelry, because it has been specifically mentioned here, and jewelry is 8 lakh. So I am going to give 8 lakh. And they have asked me to list the valuables and their market value. So I'll say jewelry, 8 lakh, done, simple. So this is a section that wants to know more about your lands and real estate. So for 1, do you rent out a portion of their primary home? So for example, we own a building and we rent a part of our home. So for me, this is true, right? How much percentage of our home do we rent? So let's say 75%. So just 25% of is ours. Say we own 4 flats, 1 we live in and 3 we rent out. So it's 75% is rented to others. Do we rent real estate to others? So it means that other real estate, other lands or other stuff that we rent, other real estate apart from our primary home. So let's say we do. How many real estate properties do we have? Let's say we have 5 and we'll put it here. In our case, we don't, so I'm just going to uncheck this. Have a seasonal or vacation rental property. Sadly, we don't, so we're just going to uncheck this. Own real estate beyond their primary home, such as land or a vacation or a second home. If it's true, just click on this. You just say how many real estate properties you have, blah blah blah. For our case, we don't, so we'll just ignore this one. And if you do, you will have to mention this here and check them. Now, this section is most important for people whose parents earn their livelihood mostly from business and are mostly self-employed. So for example, if it's the primary income source of theirs, then they're going to have to check this one, right? So say they only own one business and they're going to check this box. If they own, say, a business that they also work in addition to other work, for example, working for, I don't know, say Unilever, your parents work for Unilever, so you're going to check this one. Or say they own a farm or a part of a farm, then you will check this one. So let's say it's going to be, let's say I'm saying this, my father does not work, does not have a business, but I am going to show this just to explain certain parts. Next on, the name of this business, Samin is Joe's Limited. Yeah, limited. Address somewhere around the world. Now, type of business, you will have to give it yourself. Do you own it? Is it a partnership? Or I don't know, I think corporation is something big. I don't know, you will know it yourself. So let's say it's sole proprietorship. Let's say it's partnership, right? Percentage of parent ownership. How much do your parents own this business? Let's say 90%. Primary product or service this business provides. Let's say we give a service. I don't know, university admission help, right? I don't know. Let's just give it. Name of parent who owns this business. My father, Anisur Rahman. Muhammad Anisur Rahman. I'll just keep Muhammad for now. Do other family members have ownership in this business? Let's just say no. Date this business was started. Yeah, we started it, let's say, yesterday. Yeah, we started this yesterday. Yeah. Does this business employ more than 100 full-time employees? Self-explanatory, it's going to be no. On which tax form is this income of this business reported? So these are more for Americans rather than us, so it's going to be other, right? And this is the section that is most important for your, so current market value of this business. So how much does this business worth? Current amount owed on this business. So maybe you don't owe anything, so it's going to be 0. Gross receipts, it's also called revenue. How much revenue did this company generate, say last cycle, right? how much expenditure did you how much did you spend on this business. So let's say the revenue was 10 lakh. I spent 8 lakh. So my profit, it's going to be 1 more 0. So my profit is 2 lakh, right? As simple as that. Do other family members receive a salary or wages from this business? Let's say no. Provide any details in this business or explain any special circumstance related to this business. If you have anything to explain, just explain, as simple as that. I clicked on add item. Let's see what this pops up. I have no clue. It means that if you have another business, say another of your parent owns another business, or the same parent owns another business or part of another business, then you will explain that business here again. For our purposes, we don't care. I'm going to remove this item 2, and we are going to go to the next section. Do Samit's parents have the following expenses? Check all that apply. Medical or dental expenses not covered by insurance. I think for most people, it's going to be a check mark. The reason is simple. So CSS Profile, as I said before, is more geared towards Americans, and in America, insurance is a big thing, and insurance and medical expenses are very, very big things. So for us, our medical expenses for most of us is not covered by insurance, so it's probably going to be like check mark this. Repayment of student loan debt in 2019. Most of us don't take on student loans to fund our studies. However, it's something absolutely common in America. So it's probably not going to be a check mark for us, and we are not going to take this. Alimony, I think alimony is related to divorce. If your parents or one of your parents had divorced, so it's going to be a check mark, and the related questions will pop up. I'm just going to go into the next section for now. Parent medical expenses detail. Now, this section you will figure out the amount of expenses that your parents actually spent on medical. So your parents may frequently visit the doctor, maybe because they are not as healthy as an average human being, or maybe they don't go to the medical don't go to the hospital much. Now, it does not have to be exact. It does not have to be 10 lakh 5,021 taka. Nor does it have to be like, oh my god, I gave 9 lakh, but the expense is actually 10 lakh. Just give your best estimation. So for example, let's say in my case, it's 5 lakh. So I just give 5 lakh. Enter the medical and dental expenses paid or expected to be paid in 2020 that will not be covered by insurance. So for us, for most of us, our expenses and medical expenses are not covered by insurance. So let's say we paid 5 lakh last time, and you are assuming that maybe the expenses will increase next year. So I'm assuming that my expenses will increase next year. So I'm going to say 7 lakh, right? Because my expenses are not covered by insurance, and all the expenses are borne by my family anyway, because since they are not covered by insurance. So yeah, 7 lakh. So this is the expenses section, and this is important. Important in the sense that this has been confused by many people, but do note that this section is not so important in consideration of financial aid. So it does give them an idea of the expenses your family has, but it's not so important. So this is why it's most confusing. So it's detailed out in the tax return. It's somewhere around here. I'll find it. Just wait. Yeah, it's here. So you will find it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 11 sections, and let's say here it's 2000. I don't know. I'll just type it. Let's say I didn't fill this up. You can do two things. First, you can follow this to the T and just give this to your best estimate, best guesses, best everything, and then just fill it up based on this whole section and fill this up. However, Bangladeshi lawyers, what they do is they astronomically decrease the expenses in this section. If you don't understand what I'm saying, then you are probably one of the lucky ones, and the expenses are normal in your case. And if you're understanding what I'm saying, then you'll realize that, say, transport expenses are probably taka 500, or I don't know, personal and fooding expenses is just taka 1 lakh. So many Bangladeshi lawyers do that. What you can do is follow this to the T and just follow this, because this tax return is government sanction, is very official, so just follow this. Or what you can do is teach this section and fill this up based on your own knowledge, what you think is accurate. My suggestion will be to follow the tax return, because even though they might seem like astronomically low, not so accurate, but still this is an official document and this details out everything. So you should follow this and just follow this everywhere. I'm just going to fill this up with random numbers in a bullet speed. Fast forward this, Sami. Question: number of people your family employed in the home. So I think this includes butlers, where they, for example, like Batman reference, right? If you have watched Batman, Alfred is the butler of the Wayne family. So I think this includes them. I'm not sure if this includes maids, but let's assume it does, and let's say we have 2 maids in our home, so I'll just give 2. Amount paid by your family to the people employed in your home, let's say we pay them, let's say 10,000 taka per month, and in 12 months it's 12 lakh, and 2 of them is 24 lakh, so I'm going to give 2 lakh 40,000. I'm so sorry. Anyway, you get the point. These are just random guesses. We don't have maid in our homes, but you get the point. Let's see what this said. Total amount owed to other people or financial institutions. This is self-explanatory. Do you have a loan or something? Do you owe this to other people? But to remember this section, report only debt that has not been reported elsewhere in this application. Debt from home, real estate properties, which should not be reported here, but in the question related those assets. So if it's home loan or like business loan, then you should not mention this here, because you already mentioned this a while back in your parents' assets. So if you took loans, that is say outside of college debt or outside of home loans, say you took a car loan, and that's where it's going to be like this is where you're going to put this. In my case, I'm going to give it 0. Amount paid for any other expense not listed above. So maybe there's some other expense apart from entertainment or holiday that's not included here, but you want to like maybe give this anyway. So I'm going to give, I don't know, 5,000 taka. Do remember, this expenses is not monthly, it's yearly, right? So yearly how much you spent. So I just give 500 and 500 just for the sake of random numbers and everything, just trying to fill this up. But remember, these expenses are yearly and not monthly. Describe these expenses. I don't know, I just gave, I don't know, let's see. So congratulations. I think these sections were the most important being parent income and all. Parent assets are pretty important as well, but these sections are not so important. If you are listening to this, congratulations, you probably understood a lot of CSS profile by now. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, inbox me with specific questions. But how to fill the other sections? So dependent. So this is not your dependent, but your parents' dependent. For example, if you have any sibling or a grandparent or step sibling that lives in your home. So say I have a sibling. I actually have 2 siblings. I will put both of their names here. Tasin Rahman. Yep. I don't know. I forgot his birth date, but yeah, I think it's. I think this is accurate. Yeah. Add another dependent. Okay, I'm probably not going to add another one. Okay, I'm going to fill this up with bullet speed. Something. I don't care. Done. So this is in 2020 to 2021 academic year. So I am filling this up in 12 November 2020. So by 2020-2021, they mean that from July 2020 to July 2021, right? So for Tasin, which class will he be in? So he's going to be in 10th grade. Next, he's going to be in 11th grade. This question will be no in both instances. K-12, private K-12 school is something that relates more for American citizens than us. So their private schools are called K-12. My brother does not study in America. He studies in Bangladesh and does not apply to him. So it's going to be no. Next section will ask about my income, right? Do I file a tax record? I don't earn much to file a tax return, so it's going to be not filed and not required to file a tax return. How much did I earn from work? It depends. So if you earned something from tuition, you may decide to give it. You probably didn't earn much. So for example, not earn much in the vast majority, in the wide spectrum of things. So let's assume you earn 10,000 taka per month and for you worked for 12 months. So it's 1,20,000 taka. Makes sense. All cool. You probably didn't earn any interest income. I'm going to get 0. Taxable earnings from need-based work programs and probably going to be 0. Untaxed income not provided elsewhere in this application, probably going to be 0 as well. I think for the vast majority of you, it's going to be 0. If you earn from tuition, you may decide to give it here. However, do remember that this income is more asked for if you work in, say, an official company rather than for unofficially like tuition. However, you may decide to give it here. It's your wish, no problem at all. If you are saying if you're a waitress somewhere, if you are a cashier somewhere, that counts as well. So obviously tuition does count in that sense. It's completely your wish. You probably should report anyway. This section is something that many people get boggled up with because of the untaxed income and benefits and the expected earnings you will have. So summer 2021 and school year 2021 to 2022, when you get into university and start your classes in college. So you may think and you may calculate based on how much you may work part-time in college. Now the thing is, don't calculate that you will work. I'll search my calculator and let's calculate just right around here. So let's say you think that you will work 20 hours and you will earn, say, 12 hours per hour, 20 hours per week, 4 hours, monthly $960, and say you will work 8 months. So you will earn 7,680 taka. So $80, sorry. And then you convert it into taka and it's going to be 6,52,000. You may give this here. Let's say I give this here 6,52,000 taka. The problem with that is that if you tell them that you are pretty sure that you are going to earn this amount of money and that's going to be added in your EFC as well. So say if you had given this 0, they would have asked you to pay, say, 5 lakh taka per year, let's say. Now since you added 652,000 taka here, now they will just say no, pay 11 lakh instead. Now sure, you probably will work and will be able to afford that, but my best suggestion to you will be, you don't know if you will work on campus. Just give a very conservative estimate, maybe just put in 1,50,000 and that's it. The more you include here, the lesser financial aid you will probably get, right? Whatever you put here as well, because your income is likely to be untaxed. You probably won't earn enough for it to get taxed. So let's say you put 1,50,000 here, 0 here, also 1,50,000 here. It's probably going to be 0 here as well. I don't know. It's not going to be taxed, so 0, 0. Done. Simple as that. Suggestion: don't go overboard. Don't think that you will work for the whole 9-month period or you will get tons of jobs and just try to flex around here. It's not a place for you to flex. Just be conservative as much as you can. So this section you indicate how much your parents would want to pay. So it obviously differs parents to parents. Some parents will struggle to pay only 8 lakh taka, and that's fine. Some parents will be like, okay, I will pay 50 lakh taka, right? Now, there's one thing you should realize with this section. Say university determines that you have the ability to pay 15 lakh taka per year, all right? However, you just say, no, I'll pay 2 lakh taka. In that case, that 2 lakh taka or your wish to pay 2 lakh taka won't be considered too much, because you just said low for your sake. However, they determine that you will be able to pay 15 lakh taka, so they'll just tell you that pay 15 lakh taka. So this section won't be important. This part is important in that scenario where, say, they determine you can pay 12 lakh taka. However, you love that college very much and you're like, okay, I want to pay 24 lakh taka, right? Now they realize, fine, we calculated he will be able to pay 12 lakh taka. That's probably not around our budget, but he/she expressed interest that they are okay with paying 24 lakh taka as well. So that's when this 24 lakh taka is considered as well. Now, this is not always the case. They may just think that just because you wish to pay 24 lakh taka does not mean you will be able to realistically afford that. So there's that aspect of it as well. So obviously it depends on a lot of factors. This is sometimes considered a lot, this is sometimes not considered, but this is a section where you express your wish of how much you want to pay. Let's say I just want to pay 5 lakh taka. I'll just keep this. Next, scholarship grants from sources other than these colleges or universities to which they are applying. For most of our purposes, we don't have any scholarship from outside sources. For example, some other company or some other charity organizations, it's going to be 0. So remember, outside of the university, it's not university financial aid or anything. Employers' tuition benefits or something. So for example, your employer, somewhere you work, funds your education, or your parents' employer funds your education. In that case, you may want to include that value here. For the vast majority of you, it's going to be 0. If you think that your relatives, for example, say your aunt, your uncle, your grandfather or your grandmother, or your siblings would want to pay a bit of your tuition fee or your expenses, then you may want to explain it here. So let's say it's going to be 10 lakh. If it's the case, you may want to explain it in the additional information section, the special circumstances section, so that they understand where the money will specifically come from. So will they receive fund from the government for college expenses at any point during the attendance? Will you get money from the government? Probably not. So it's going to be no. Will they receive funds from any agencies or foundations? Probably not, going to be no. Will you get tuition benefits during any years of attendance? What's tuition benefit? I'll probably have to know. So yeah, tuition benefits probably going to be from your employer or your parents' employer or your wife or husband's employer. So it's probably not going to be for you, so it's going to be no as well, just like the previous section. How will you pay for transportation to the US? Is it government funds? Probably not. Probably not this. Probably not sponsored funds. Probably not scholarship or grants. It's either gift from relatives, your own savings, or your parents' savings. Vast majority of you, including me, will choose parents' savings. I'll just choose parents' income or savings. Students' assets. Vast majority of you will not have any asset. The only asset you may have is some sort of, I don't know, bank, some money in your bank. You probably don't have any investment nor any determined asset, or you probably don't is not a part of a trust as well. I won't check any of this because obviously I don't have them. I'm not that rich. Yeah, so as I was saying, this is probably the section that you may want to keep an eye out. Maybe you have some money that you have saved in your home or in your saving account. So for example, you probably have say 80,000 taka. Let's say you gave your 80,000 taka. That's it, as simple as that. Do you own any home, any real estate beyond your primary home or anything? Up to you. Do you have any rental property? This is probably not going to be checked for any of you, so I'll just skip this. Do you have a business? You probably don't. Done. We are at the end. Do you have any special circumstance? Maybe your grandfather or grandmother have expenses that is significant. Click this. Do you have to support your family? Check this. Do you do your parents have non-recurring income that fluctuates year by year? Click this. Do you have to give any scholarship information or exceptional medical or dental expenses of say your parents or your grandparents? Were you affected by catastrophic event? These are self-explanatory. Will your parents have any change in employment? This can be good, this can be bad. Were you struck by COVID-19 pandemic too much? If yes, then this is where you explains more or less. You may provide up to 2,000 characters of information, and this is where you explain to your heart's will. Maybe you have a special scenario or something you want to express that you weren't unable to express throughout this whole application. Just right here, it's likely that they will read to it. For me, I'll say for now, hi, and I'll go to the next section. And the next section is simple. It will ask you to submit your application. Now, you will review your application. This is your whole application. You will review it. You will see is there anything wrong with it. Because once I click this, save and continue, I'll probably click this. And voila. If I say that I have read, understood, and agreed to the statement above, I don't think I'll be able to edit any of it anymore ever. So remember, you won't be able to edit any of it, right? So once you submit, you can't edit any of the details anymore, except the special circumstance section. You can't edit any of the details here. So say I want to pay to Yale University right now. So I can either pay by my credit or debit card, or I can pay by my fee payment code, basically CSS Profile fee waiver that you probably may get from the university. So you may send it to multiple universities at once right now, or you may send it to one university right now and add tens and hundreds of others later on. Then that's absolutely fine. Alright, that's it. I won't send my application to Yale University because I don't have a fee waiver code or don't have, I don't know, $1 to spend, and so these are shit anyway. You get the point. I hope this was helpful. If I was wrong anywhere, let me know. If any part is unclear due to I did not explain it well, or you did not understand it, or my voice was very gibberish, please do let me know. I'll try my best to fix it. But for now, goodbye Yale University, goodbye CSS Profile. Happy applying. I hope you get a fat financial aid offer. Good luck.